My name is Kristina, and today I'll be taking you through a yoga practice and guided meditation that you can do every day from the comfort of your own home. So whenever you're ready, I invite you to join me on the mat. Let's begin. Finding ourselves in a comfortable seated position on the mat, place your hands gently on your knees and close your eyes. We're going to begin this practice by taking 3 deep cleansing breaths. Inhaling in through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. First, emptying the lungs. Inhaling. And exhale. Inhaling again. And exhale. Inhaling one more time. And exhale. Let that go. Yes. Taking a moment to fully arrive on the mat. Putting aside anything unfinished and anything you've yet to do. You've no place to go, nowhere to be except here. Right now, in this moment. I want you to imagine a long golden thread pulling from the top of your head towards the sky, lengthening the spine upwards, opening the chest and heart, and relaxing the shoulders. We're going to start by bringing our attention to the sounds that you hear in the distance or in this room. Resisting the temptation to label anything, but merely to listen and let it pass. Bringing our attention now to the sensations that we feel in our body. Feeling the points of contact between your legs and the ground. Your hands resting on your knees. Your clothing on your skin. The temperature of the air. Feeling your ribs expand and lift on every inhale and fall back into place on each exhale. Relaxing the muscles of the jaw and the forehead. Taking a moment here just to check in with yourself. How are you feeling right now? Whatever it may be, kindly acknowledging the emotion. Allow yourself to feel it completely. It's okay. If you're not sure how you feel, you can turn your attention back to your breath. When we feel anxious or stressed, our breathing tends to get rapid and shallow, and we may feel a tightness in our chest. But when we're relaxed, our breathing slows down and deepens. Breathing is something that we can do both consciously and unconsciously. And by actively choosing to lengthen every inhale and exhale, we can calm our nervous system down and begin to invite relaxation and stillness into our body and mind. observing the inhales and exhales of your breath, the points where they lead into each other. We're going to practice a new technique of breathing that we'll use throughout our class today, called Ujjayi, or ocean breath. As you exhale, imagine that you are fogging up a mirror in front of your face. Now, keeping your mouth closed as you exhale and maintaining that constriction in your throat, we can begin to cultivate an ocean sound like such. This type of breathing helps us to lengthen our exhales as well as generate heat in our body, and can be used as a tool to synchronize our breath and our movement. Preparing to invite some movement into our body. On your next inhale, we're going to raise both of our arms overhead. And exhale to lower. Inhale to raise. And exhale to lower. Inhale to raise. This time, grabbing your left wrist in your right hand, elongating that spine, we're going to lean over to the right, feeling that stretch in your left side body. Breathe deeply here. And relax, release. Switching hands now, grabbing the right wrist in your left hand and leaning over to the left, remembering to stretch into that. Really feeling it in your right side body. And release, placing your palms to touch. On your next exhale, lowering your hands slowly down your midline to rest the palms in front of your heart for prayer pose. Tucking your chin into your chest. I'd like us to take a moment here to turn our focus inwards and to set an intention for today's practice. What is it that you would like to feel after you step off the mat today? Perhaps you'd like to dedicate your practice to someone or something in your life. Whatever it may be, I encourage you to hold your intention in your mind as you practice and flow today, and to let that be the guiding force in your movement, along with your breath. Placing your hands gently back on your knees, fluttering open your eyes, and slowly lifting your head. Please join me in a tabletop position on your hands and knees with your fingers outstretched, hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips. We're going to begin with a series of cat-cows. So as you inhale, dropping the belly, lifting the tailbone, and looking up. And as you exhale, rounding the back, drawing the navel into the spine, and really feeling that here. Inhaling to lift, and exhaling to round the spine. One more time. And exhale. You may feel free to go into some freestyles now. So maybe you'd like to warm up the spine by going in circles, clockwise, counterclockwise. Maybe you'd just like to come back onto your heels or come up front, or just whatever feels good for you in this moment. We spend so much time sitting in front of our computers, It's not great for our posture. So really just warming up that spine right here. When you're ready, widening the knees so they're close to the edges of the mat. I'd like you to push your hips back and come down into a child's pose, resting your forehead on the mat. This is a resting pose that you can come back to at any point that you need during this practice. On your next inhale, coming back to a tabletop position. And when you're ready, curling the toes under, maybe bring your hands a little bit forward. We're going to push back into our first downward facing dog. So bringing your hips up to the sky. Feel free to start walking your dog by bending one knee and the other. The goal here for down dog is not necessarily to have your heels touching the ground, but rather to have a long spine. So I encourage you to keep that slight bend in the knees if that helps. And breathe deeply here. On your next inhale, looking in between your hands, step or walk to the front of the mat and just relax, forward fold here. Grab both of your elbows, maintaining that slight bend in the knee, and just relax your neck completely. Maybe you want to shake your head no, or nod your head yes. Really loosening that all out. And when you're ready, letting go of your elbows, we're going to slowly roll up to standing one vertebrae at a time until your head is the last thing to come up. Coming to Tadasana, or mountain pose, ensuring that that long golden thread is still pulling your head up towards the ceiling, elongating your spine. On an inhale, we're going to raise both of our arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of our hearts. Again, inhaling to reach up. Exhaling, this time forward fold all the way down. Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway lift with a straight spine looking forwards. And exhale, forward fold. Placing your hands on the ground, stepping back into a high plank here. We're going to lower our knees for the first version of Vinyasa or flow that you can take today. So on an exhale, you're going to bend your elbows in line with your rib cage and lower yourself in one beautiful straight line all the way to the ground. Moving your hands forward and outwards a bit. Inhale to come up into a back bend or cobra. And exhale to lower yourself back down. And inhale to come back to tabletop. And exhaling to come back into downward facing dog. On your next inhale, looking in between your hands, step or walk to the front of the mat, and exhale, forward fold. Inhaling slowly to come all the way up into a standing position. Inhaling again to raise our arms overhead, and exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. Once more, inhaling all the way overhead, and exhale, bringing ourselves all the way into a forward fold here. Inhaling, halfway lift, straight spine, and exhale, forward fold. Placing our hands on the ground, we're going to step back into a high plank. This time we're going to go through the other option for Vinyasa, which is Chaturanga Dandasana, to an upward facing dog. So ensuring that your fingers are still outstretched underneath your shoulders, and that you've got strong activated legs and core, begin to shift your weight forward and back on your toes. On your next inhale, we're going to shift our weight all the way forward, lower ourselves by bending our elbows in one straight line, and flipping your toes to inhale for an upward facing dog. And on your next exhale, pushing back into a downward facing dog. So when I say to go through your flow or take a vinyasa during this class, you can choose either of those two options, the knees and the cobra, or the chaturanga dandasana to an upward facing dog.
On your next inhale, you're gonna look in between your hands, step or walk to the front of the mat, and exhale, forward fold. This time as we inhale, we're gonna sweep both of our arms up by our sides into a chair pose or Utkatasana. So really sitting back in that chair, imagining that you have an invisible block in between your thighs. And breathe deeply here. On your next exhale, release, forward fold. Great job. Inhale, halfway lift, straight spine. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, coming all the way up, arms overhead. Exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. Again, inhaling, reaching our arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold, all the way down, placing our hands on the ground and stepping our feet back into a high plank. Go through your flow. On your next inhale, we're gonna raise our right leg to the sky. Come onto the left tippy toes, bend that right knee, and exhale, knee to nose, hold it there, and step that foot through in between your hands. Take a moment to steady yourself here and place your left hand on the ground. And on an inhale, we're gonna open our chest to the right and unfurl that right hand to the sky, gazing upwards. And exhale, bringing that hand down again. We're gonna come up this time into a high lunge. So inhaling here, sweeping both of our arms overhead, high lunge. And on your next exhale, bringing those hands to the ground, stepping back, and going through your flow. On your next inhale, raising your left leg to the sky, coming onto your right tippy toes, bending that left knee, and hugging that knee to your nose. Hold it there, and step that foot through in between your hands. On an inhale, planting your right hand firmly on the ground, we're gonna open our chest to the left, unfurl that left hand to the sky, and gaze upwards. On your next exhale, bringing the hand back to the ground, steadying your back foot, inhaling to a high lunge. Breathe deeply here. And exhaling to return our hands to the ground, stepping back and going through your flow. On your next inhale, looking in between your hands, step or walk to the front of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. On your next inhale, we're gonna come up into a chair pose again. Really sitting back in that chair. Feeling the burn. And exhaling, release, forward fold. Inhaling to halfway lift with a straight spine. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising all the way up, arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. Inhaling, raising our arms overhead once more. And exhale, forward fold all the way down, placing our hands on the ground and our feet behind us. Go through your flow. On your next inhale, We're gonna raise our right leg up, come onto those left toes, bend that knee, hug the knee into the nose, and step that in between your hands. You know what to do. Opening our chest up to the right, unfurl that right arm to the sky, gazing upwards. And exhaling to return that to the ground. This time we're gonna place the back heel on the ground so that your left toes are pointed towards 11 o'clock. And on an inhale, sweeping our arms up into a warrior one. And exhaling, bringing our hands back down, coming back onto the left toes, stepping back, and going through your flow. On your next inhale, raising your left leg to the sky, coming onto the right toes, bend that left knee, knee to nose, and step it through. Taking a moment to steady yourself, right palm planted on the ground, open your chest to the left, and unfurl that left hand to the sky. Great job. And on your next exhale, bringing that palm back to the ground, placing that right foot on the ground at this time. Toes pointed towards 1 o'clock, inhaling to come up into a warrior one. And on your next exhale, returning those hands to the ground, coming back onto the right toes, step back and go through your flow. On your next inhale, looking in between your hands, step or walk to the front of the mat, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and exhale, forward fold. Inhaling all the way up, arms overhead, and exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. All right, so now we're going to enter the second phase of our practice with a lot of hip openers and standing poses. So beginning in Tadasana with your hands in front of your heart, we're gonna start with tree pose. So let me just face you to demonstrate that. We're gonna start on the left side. So bending that left knee in front of you, we're gonna turn it outwards and place that left foot either on the shin or on the thigh, but not directly on the knee. Just wherever is comfortable for you today. And then when you're ready, bring your palms to touch in prayer pose in front of your heart. If you find it difficult to balance, you may choose an unmoving point on the ground or in the space in front of you to focus your gaze. Breathing deeply here. If you're feeling adventurous, you might want to grow your tree by raising both arms overhead. You may want to touch your palms above your head. And maybe you want to lower your left hand to your left thigh and look to the right. Great, returning our hands to palm center or heart center. Unhook that leg and bring that knee back to the front. We're gonna kick directly into a warrior three. So maintaining a strong standing leg with a slight bend, we're gonna kick back that foot and hinge forward at the hips to come into this like T shape. Really using that glute to lift that back leg, activating the feet, and finding that unmoving point of focus in front of you on the ground. Maybe you want to throw your hands behind you, or in front, or just keep them in front of you. And when you're tired of gravity, you can place that back foot down in warrior one feet. So again, left toes pointed towards 11 o'clock. We're going to inhale and raise our arms overhead. Exhaling, lowering our arms to our sides, clasping our fingers behind our back, and inhale, open the chest, gazing upwards, and exhale, forward, humble warrior, resting that chest on your right thigh, feeling that stretch in your shoulders. And exhaling to release, inhaling to come back into warrior one. And as we exhale, we're going to open into warrior two. So first we're going to need to do a foot adjustment. So bringing that right foot a little bit in towards the middle of the mat and turning the left toes so that they're pointing towards 9 o'clock. Find a comfortable distance and bending into that right knee. You're going to want to find a 90-degree angle or something close to that and extend your arms to the side, looking in front over your right middle finger. Inhaling, we're going to extend forward here. Exhaling to flip the front palm over. And inhale, reverse warrior. And coming back to warrior two on an exhale. Next, we're going to place our right forearm on our right thigh, lower that left arm in front of our face, and sweep it overhead for an extended side angle, rotating our chest up to the sky. If you have extra space, you could put your right hand on the ground, or you could grab your hand from underneath your right thigh for a bind. But try not to sacrifice that rotation and opening of the chest upwards. If you're still in a bind, you can come out of the bind now. Meet us back in extended side angle. And on your next exhale, looking to the ground, releasing both hands to your foot, coming onto that back left toe, kicking back your right foot, and go through your flow. On your next inhale, looking in between your hands, step or walk to the front of the mat, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising all the way up, raising our arms overhead. And exhale, palms to touch in front of the heart. We're going to repeat this sequence on the other side now. So this time, raising our right knee in front of us, opening the hip outwards and placing that right foot either on your shin or on your thigh. And then bringing the hands to touch in front of the heart. Finding that drishti or the point of focus somewhere in front of you. If you'd like, you can extend your arms overhead. Maybe you want to touch your hands overhead. And if you're really feeling up for it, lowering that right hand to the right thigh and looking to the left. Bringing your hands back to touch in front of palm, heart center. Unhook the branch from your tree and spin your knee back to the front. We're going to immediately kick back into warrior three here, hinging forward to the hips under a strong standing leg, using that right glute to lift up that back leg and lean forward. Activating that leg, breathing here. Maybe you want to send your hands backwards or forwards. And when you're tired of gravity, placing that right back foot on the ground. Come meet me in warrior one feet with your back toes pointed towards 1 o'clock. Inhaling to raise your arms here, warrior one. And exhaling, releasing them down behind you, clasping your fingers. Inhale, lifting your chest and gaze. And exhale, folding forward for humble warrior. Inhaling here, release. Bring your hands all the way back up to warrior one. And on your next exhale, opening out to warrior two. So shifting your feet, opening your back toes to 3 o'clock, and really sitting in to that front knee here, 90-degree angle. Relaxing your shoulders. Inhale to reach forward. On your next exhale, flipping that palm and reversing the warrior on an inhale. And exhale back to warrior two. Placing that front left forearm on your left thigh. Sweeping your right arm underneath you and coming up into an extended side angle. Rotating that chest and reaching, feeling that stretch from your fingertips all the way to your back toes. If you have space, put your left hand on the ground, or you can take a bind underneath you, but trying not to sacrifice that chest rotation. If you're in a bind, feel free to release that. And on your next exhale, looking down to the ground, placing your feet down, or your hands down, stepping back into high plank, and go through your flow. And take a moment here to come actually into child's pose. Reconnecting with your breath. Feeling how your body feels a bit different from the beginning of the practice. And remembering that intention that you set for yourself. And when you're ready, coming back up, we're gonna spend the rest of class sitting down, which is great. Rotating your legs in front of you, placing your hands by your sides, a little bit behind your hips, so that you've got a straight spine. That long thread is still pulling the top of your head towards the sky. As we inhale, raising our arms overhead, and exhaling to lower. Inhaling again. Exhale to lower. Inhaling again. This time we're going to hook our thumbs and we're going to hinge forward at the hips on the exhale. Inhaling again to extend the spine, and this time go a bit further on the exhale. So every time we inhale, we lengthen, and we exhale to reach until your hands fall wherever they may on your legs. It could be the feet, the ankles, the shins, whatever feels good for your body today. So you can feel that hamstring stretch behind you. And release. We're gonna do this on each side now. So bringing in the left knee and allowing it to just fall out to the side. Placing our right hand on our right hip. Inhaling to raise the left hand. And exhale to reach. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to reach. Bringing that right arm to meet it and have that fall where it may. And release, coming back up. We're gonna hug that left knee in again and bring it back out. Switching sides this time, letting your right knee fall to the side, placing your left hand on your left hip. Inhale to raise your right hand up, and exhale to reach forward. Inhale to lift, and exhale to reach. And let your hands fall where they may. And release, coming back up. Returning to the left side now, we're going to do some seated twists. So bringing in that left knee so that your foot is a bit closer than your right knee. placing your left hand behind you as you inhale, raising your right arm overhead, and exhale to place the right elbow outside of the left knee, pushing both of them against each other to rotate the spine. Look behind you. And release. Switching sides now. So bringing in the right knee, placing that right arm behind you. Inhale to lift the left arm to the sky, and exhale to place that left elbow outside of the right knee behind you. And release. Bending both of our knees down, we're going to come back down to lie on our backs. So ensuring that you can touch your heels with your middle fingers. We're going to go into a bridge pose as a counter pose to counteract all of that forward folding and bending we've done today. So on your next exhale, you're going to push your navel up into the sky. Maybe you want to clasp your fingers behind your back, have your shoulders support you, and really imagine that thread pulling your navel upwards and ensuring that your knees are not splaying out. So imagining that block in between your thighs. Breathing in deeply here. And exhaling, rolling out your shoulders and lowering your spine one vertebrae at a time, all the way to the mat. 2 more. Exhaling to push up. Breathing deeply here. And release, gently lowering yourself back down to the mat. 1 more time. And pushing up. Really squeeze those glutes and those thighs. And release back down to the ground. You can now extend both your legs out flat, rotating your palms so they're facing upwards for our final relaxation or savasana. Closing our eyes here. Breathing deeply. Allowing yourself and your body to absorb the benefits of this practice. Beginning to invite some movement back into your body by wiggling your fingers and your toes, your wrists and your ankles, lolling your head from side to side, just massaging out the back of your head. And slowly on your own time, turning over to your right side and curling up in a fetal position, using your right arm as a pillow. Just take a few moments here, checking in with yourself.
keeping your eyes closed, pushing your left hand on the ground, and slowly finding your way back to a seated position. Bringing your palms to touch in front of the heart, lowering your chin to your chest. Thanking yourself for coming to practice today. And I thank you for sharing your practice with me. Keeping that intention in mind, yoga continues after we step off the mat. May it bring out the best in you today. Namaste.